Hey, everybody. Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast is going to be coming at you here in just a few moments, but we would like to take a moment and express our condolences and well wishes for the family of Shad Gaspard. I'm sure if you don't know, you can go and look it up. He had passed away this past week. Boys, if you'd like to go ahead and give your condolences here to Shad's family and wish them well in this time.
Man. The word hero is tossed around a lot more than it needs to be, I think. But what he did with having the lifeguards staying to the lifeguards, hey, go save my son, then come back for me, like that is a true hero. So ring work aside, movies and all that other stuff aside, thoughts and prayers go out to a true hero for what he did. So yeah, for sure.
And it's something in wrestling that you hear people talk about. People's in-ring personalities are them turned up to 11, or they're a caricature of themselves or who they want to be. It's an outlet. And with Shad, I mean, obviously a lot of people know him from Crime Time, but the juxtaposition of characters and what they are, like, I mean, you can't say enough about the man, even if you never saw his work or knew him or, met him or anything. That right there speaks to his character. And I think that is the bar has been set for that's how you be a father, and it really is a tragedy. And, like we're all going to say probably a bunch is our best wishes and prayers go out to his family at this time and loved ones.
Yep. Not too much more to say on that, except I hope that as great of a hero that he was there for his son, and as amazing of a thing to do as a father, I hope that I can replicate that sort of this sort of good deeds in my own kids' life. So thoughts and prayers to Shad and to Shad's family.
All right, everybody, stick around. We'll be back in just a few with a show.
You're listening to the Pittsburgh Piledriver. What the hell is that? Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pittsburgh. Oh, so old. Hey, it's the Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast with your favorite four Dumbos. That's right, we're all four of us here today for your entertainment. That's kind of stretching it. But anyway, welcome to Stupid Cast with Dum Dums and also Beef. So we've got a show Shut up. We've got a show. Oh, there's a cat. We've got a show coming up here, and we're going to talk about wrestling because we're allegedly a wrestling podcast, and that is allegedly a sport. And we allegedly know things. This is all allegedly. We don't. This is bullshit. Beef the Legend, Tiger Bomb Tom, Alec Ransom, and the best damn Chooserweight champ there ever was, Poot the Bard, are going to be with you to talk about some picks that we have coming up for, I believe, Double or Nothing. Is that right?
Yeah. I can't believe Double or Nothing's already here.
That's insane.
I remember watching the first one. It was like, holy crap, it's been a year already.
And that's the thing. A lot of people are like, it feels like AEW has done, it seems like, such a good job of making themselves feel like they've belonged, and they're doing such a good job that, like you said, Ransom, it's like, oh, shit, they've been around for a year.
Yeah, right?
Like,
jeez.
And how they've delivered on a lot of the things they said they were going to deliver on.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%. Sorry, I'm picking on WWE, but it definitely feels like, you get a nice big fat break between each WrestleMania. But the break between Double or Nothing from last year and this year seems like, a blink of the eye. I don't know if that's just because it, was a shit year or what.
I think
it'll do that to you.
Well, I think it's because I don't know. It's hard to say because, like, I feel like we can look at AEW and we can go, oh, here's a clear picture of what they've done this year, how they've grown, the talent they've brought in and everything. But with WWE, how many times have we mentioned whether it's on the podcast or not, where we're talking about how, like, oh, yeah, that was this year. Oh, was that really this year? Oh, that was only a couple months ago. It feels like so long ago. You know what I mean?
Maybe that's just the shine of it, too. Maybe AEW is so new that, the shine hasn't worn off. Shine's worn off of WWE, not because they've consistently been terrible or have always been bad, but, they've been around forever. AEW is so new. Maybe it's just got a little bit of that, new car smell to it still.
Well, and on top of that, too, you have AEW on... They have one weekly show, but they also have AEW Dark. So we'll call it 1.5. But they have 1.5 shows a week versus WWE having 1, 2, 3. We'll say 3 to 4 shows a week if you're counting like Superstars or anything else like that, or 205 Live. So like there's by comparison, there's a whole lot more saturation of WWE, where something that only happened a couple months ago feels like that it's been such a long time, just because there's so much damn content every single week. And it's mind blowing at times to think about that. But yeah, AEW has really just been hitting all the right notes. Even before, I'm going off of base what you guys have been telling me, because I, again, haven't gotten back into the groove of watching, but, especially how they've been handling things during everything with, with the quarantine and everything like that. They've just really been at, doing a really bang up job, for all things considered, that they're a company that's essentially, only, about a year old.
And I think really I catch AEW moderately regularly, or I watch highlights, or I listen to news, but I think the person who watches it literally damn near every single week is Mr. Beef the Legend, one half of the greatest tag team champions, Chooserweight champions there ever has been.
Well, that's debatable.
Well, I don't think it is there, Tom. Anyway,
I mean, you had Team Salt and Pepper, but
that's true. They were good. But they're a little bit below Team Orgity Gorgity.
Ransom and Kilmore, Team Orgity Gorgity chews up Team Salt and Pepper and shits them out.
Wow.
Turns them into Team
Beef.
Cumin. Beef.
Oh, shit. You know what I just realized? I'm the tag team guy of this podcast. Never to have a solo run.
Oh, you're the
bounce
Janetti.
back and forth from tag team to tag team.
No, you had one solo run. Remember, there was the Mad King.
Oh, the Mad King. That's right.
Yeah, back at actually, I think that was
No, go ahead. Tom.
It was either right before or right after Double or Nothing, because Ransom...
That may have been Double or Nothing. I think Ransom outpicked us on Double or Nothing. If I'm remembering correctly.
That's kind of like saying that like my singles run as the Chooserweight champion is the equivalent of Jinder Mahal's singles run as the WWE champion. It's pretty much the same thing.
Don't say mean things about yourself. Come on.
Yeah, no, you're much better than Jinder Mahal.
Yeah. But
quick question though.
Yeah.
Poot,
what's up?
If you and I were to win the Chooserweight Tag Team Championship, what would our team name be? A Bard and a Tripod?
The Bardic Tripod. It's like the Death Triangle.
I like it.
The Bardic
the
Triad.
Worst thing that could possibly happen to this podcast.
Make it happen, Poot.
I think you were leading into my expertise on AEW. Yes.
Yes.
Let's get back to that.
On the Pittsburgh Piledriver Beefcast. Oh, beef the time.
No. Joking aside on this, like, Beef honestly probably has the best, take on AEW, because he is a consistent watcher of it week to 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 week. So,
right.
I was going to go 52 of those, but I don't know. But Beef, so in your opinion, having really been, the historian so far of AEW's first year, do you think, and without being biased here, I want you to be objective, do you think that they are really steadily rising, or do you see like a kind of a bubble burst on AEW at some point?
It's an interesting point. I think that they're on the rise. COVID has actually impacted them and NXT more negatively than I thought it would. Really, NXT has stayed pretty consistent. They dropped a little bit. AEW has lost around 30 to 40,000 weekly viewers, and it spikes from time to time. But I don't think the Nielsen ratings or whatever the fuck they are is the end all be all anymore. I think that you have to like look at the product as a whole and say, how do I feel about it? And if I'm being real, there are some down nights of Dynamite for sure. But it definitely has a very like good Nitro feel to it. Like pre-Russo Nitro, like, well, yeah, exactly. Like leading up and like into their run where they were like leading the ratings for a long time. It feels like it's and I'm gonna say live, but I don't mean like broadcasted live. I mean it just has a live feel to it. They followed the marks, and again, I'm not talking about the stupid wrestling fans. Like they are very much at this point kind of paint by numbers, but there's enough of like stuff tucked away that I feel like they may start to go off of that because wrestling purists know that A plus B equals C. They can sit there and look at a product and say, okay, well, this is what's going to happen. And that's not always a bad thing. We talk about Vince McMahon always like outbooking himself in that scenario where A plus B will equal X, and we're all like, what the fuck? Like Otis winning Money in the Bank, for example. So AEW, I think, follows the formula pretty well, but I think that they're going to start getting kind of advantageous with it and start taking advantage of everybody preying on that. The Hangman Page thing is a good example. I think that they're going to give him a big monster push. But I mean, like, if you're asking me if they are getting better, yes, I think, especially during the COVID, I think that there have been a couple episodes of Dynamite that I looked at and said, this is a great episode of wrestling, period. Not just during the quarantine, but period. I would put it on one of the better episodes that I've seen in years.
And I think you brought up a very interesting comparison. You said like in the Nitro days, pre-Russo, because honestly, I think if AEW can stay in the mindset of what they've said that they were going to do, where they're not going to try to compete directly with WWE in a war of ratings, they're gonna poke their little jabs here and there. I mean, we look back at the whole stuff with Cody, the Throne Breaker. They have their little jabs here and there. That's fine. But like they've said, they wanted to be an alternative to what was the normal weekly product of like Raw and SmackDown in WWE. And I think as long as if they stick to that vision and don't worry about chasing a ratings war, I think that they would continue on the rise and definitely avoid the follies that WCW made back in the day. And I think any good wrestling company nowadays would be able to take a lesson from that, because the biggest problem with WCW was the fact that they were so mismanaged and they had people running the company who knew nothing about the business at all. They basically had a revolving door of different management and stuff that was changing week to week, and nobody knew who the fuck was in charge, really. So as long as they have a good solid foundation, and I think that they do with Cody and the Bucks and Kenny, and Tony Khan having that central core and sticking to that vision, I think they're gonna continue to be on an upward rise for years to come.
Well, breaking news, folks. Speaking of AEW, and I know that I was just talking about how positive that I wanted to be tonight, but this is something that I saw kind of casting a cloud over it. Britt Baker is likely out for a long time.
Oh no!
There was a spot last night where Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander basically did a Death Valley driver of Nyla Rose onto Britt Baker in the corner, and Britt basically took it all on her knee. And the belief was it was a torn ACL. She's still waiting for an MRI, but I would say definitely out of action for Sunday. Sucks because they were really getting behind her good.
And she's just pregnant.
No, well,
that's Adam, a perfect segue.
Adam, baby.
Speaking of pregnant.
All right, so while Mr. Jim Cornette, now I'm going to preface this. With a statement, actually lauding Jim Cornette. Okay, stick with me on this. Okay, the more that I watch Dark Side of the Ring, the more respect I have for Jim Cornette from the standpoint of being a historian and having a mind for the business and his opinions, because he does, yes, he's biased, but it's not the way he's biased on his podcast. He calls his shots, and he says what he thinks, but in a very productive, well thought out, and well-spoken manner. Not like his belligerent insanity. Good Lord, are you like tackling the wind? Holy crap. That hurt my ears, and I'm not wearing headphones. Anyway.
Sorry, you delicate little sunflower. Why don't you just get on with your Jim Cornette bullshit?
Wah. Anyway, motherfucker. So the fucking wind, motherfucker, putting himself over.
You talk about the wind. It's so windy out here. It's like Kansas, Auntie Emma.
Anyway,
fucking Toto, I'll kill you.
So Jim Cornette, the problem is Jim Cornette is a human being and trying to pop his ratings by being controversial for the sense of being controversial. I also think it goes with his general what he believes. You know what I mean? Being a down-home Southern boy, raised in that generation, he says things and he doesn't understand the times he's in. He got fired from NWA Power for that. So I'm going to pull up here. Jim Cornette made a comment about Becky Lynch getting pregnant. Now, the wrestling world in general, of course, the memes out there about Seth Rollins not being able to pull out they're hilarious. But
or going in Raw.
But after going in Raw, yeah. But like but hearing about Seth's reaction, how happy he was, how happy Becky was, how happy they all were, and how their peers are happy for them and everything. Like, it's wonderful to hear. The only person who's being ridiculous and erroneous about this is Mr. Jim motherfucker Cornette. And he made some pretty gross comments on the subject. I'm pulling them up right now here. Jim Cornette made a comment. I believe it was on his podcast. And he said, let me see if I can find the exact quote here. What did Jim Cornette say? He said, you can't always be on top of the wrestling business in a $1 million a year spot or more, but you can have a baby. What is she? Can she be 30? Lynch is 33. Well, still, she's got many more years before that fucking Easy Bake Oven gets shut off. She can have all those problems.
Did he say that? That yes. Easy Bake Oven gets shut off?
Yes. Now, hold on. I'm not done. Of course, I'm not done. She can have he continued saying, she can have all those problems like a distended stomach and stretch marks and hemorrhoids and hormone problems and mood swings and all those other joys of motherhood later when she ain't making $1 million a year. She's got plenty of time left. What would you do if your wife came home and said, instead of making $1 million a year, motherfucker, I'm gonna basically just be a raging bitch for the next 9 months and then give you more shit to worry about around the house? That is verbatim what Jim Cornette said about Becky Lynch's pregnancy. Now, in retaliation on After the Bell with Corey Graves, Seth Rollins returned the volley to Jim Cornette. But Seth Rollins, who we all know has no problem being a dumbass on Twitter, he did handle this in a way that was very apparent, and he with this, it shows maybe he'll be a good parent because he's not mad, he's just disappointed. Seth Rollins was quoted as saying, "It hurt my feelings on a personal level because Jim Cornette is someone who's a legend in our industry, and he's someone I've personally worked with in my time at Ring of Honor. For him to come out and say some really negative things, some real misogynistic things about women in general and pregnancy in the industry, it kind of caught me off guard, and it made me lose a lot of respect for someone who, like a lot of people, I already kind of lost respect for. I was holding on to the hope that somewhere along the line there was a personal connection between Jim and I that would make him think twice before making such an egregious comment about women and about my wife. I can't even forgive him. I don't even want to repeat those words he said." That is everything in a nutshell. Sorry I kind of went on there, but it all needed to be said at once. Guys, Cornette, look, even if he's saying this to pop his ratings and he doesn't really mean it, that's a shithead thing. We have two parents on the podcast here.
Yep.
What and Beef, but who's a
now,
cat?
Hold the
cat
fuck
dad.
on here.
You're a cat dad.
No. Hold the fuck on, because I had not heard the actual comments that he said up until now. And I was like, whatever, it's fucking Cornette. Whatever, it's fucking Cornette. Hearing the comments now, like, I am absolutely fucking pissed off with the fucking levity that he treats it.
Right?
Well, that can just happen at any time. Guess what, fuckhead? It can't happen at any time. There are people who fucking struggle for years and damn years. No, you know what? I'll say this. There are people that struggle for years and goddamn years. The fucking have the fucking miracle of life. And you know what? You're going to say, oh, well, she should just piss it away for a fucking $1 million. Well, you know what? There are some things in this world that are more important than $1 million damn dollars. And the gift of life, the gift of a child, is one of those things. And I am fucking triggered. I am fucking salty. I am, like, damn near pissed off to the point of tears. No, you know what?
No, because take your stance, Beef. Go.
It absolutely crushes me that there are some people in this fucking conversation that have been trying to have a child and have not. And therefore, for Cornette just to say, well, that can happen anytime, it just fucking boils my fucking eggs. So, you know what? Like, before I actually heard the comments verbatim, I was just like, that's Cornette just being a shock jock, just trying to be the WWE, or just trying to be the wrestling industry's version of Howard Stern.
Nope.
But that's, you know, that is a fucking low blow, and it makes me hate Jim Cornette all the fucking more.
That's that was kind of why whenever whoever had posted up the thing in the chat, that I read it, and that's whenever I said, I was like, you know, that's like saying, like, oh, it's just Cornette being Cornette. I'm like, nah, fuck that. They're like, just excusing being a shitty human being like that, just excusing like bad behavior like that is not a good thing to do. Like, I get it, we're all human, we all make mistakes. I even know, you know, I said it in the chat, I was like, hell, look at you know, we mentioned it last week that you know, it won't be spoke of because it got cut.
Tom made a faux pas.
I did. I screwed up big time, and it was an honest slip.
You're lucky you have a really good editor, buddy.
Yeah, I know. I am. I really am.
Ooh, kudos to the editing team.
I know, right? Kudos to Poot.
All right, hold on. Every editing team, say thank you. Thank you. Let me out of here.
But
shut up back there.
Get them under control. Pipe them down.
Shut up.
But for Cornette to do that, like, again, like how Seth said, Cornette worked with Seth and how many other guys that have come through Ring of Honor and stuff like that. So I mean, he knows Seth, and he's I'm sure built some sort of a personal relationship with him and stuff like that. Why, even if you were trying to pop your ratings or whatever, why would you do that to somebody who you have a personal connection with? Like, that would be like me taking a low blow at like any one of you guys or anything like that, just for fucking shits and giggles. Like,
that's fine.
Well,
but we're all friends.
You know
here.
what I mean?
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? There's a big fucking difference, and I'm sorry, like, I can't see how in the fuck Cornette can function in today's society. I'm not all about like super PC and like, oh, you have to be careful of like every little thing you say because you don't want to offend one person or another. Like, no, because I still have a pretty, dark sense of humor and, pretty fucked up sense of humor, a la Rick and Morty or South Park style sense of humor. I'm all for stuff. Like there's a line, there's a certain line that you have to have some fucking common sense. And it seems like Cornette is such a self-absorbed, fucking egotistical, stubborn old asshole that he's his own worst goddamn enemy. He really is. And honestly, I don't know. As a parent to hear somebody say that, like, if I ever met him, I wouldn't say I'd spit in his face because that's considered assault.
Yeah, lawsuit.
But I
he's got good lawyers too.
Yeah, and he would jump at the chance to sue someone.
Oh, he would.
Even though he bitched,
you motherfucker.
Even though he bitched about and sued the guy who made the shirt of him that was all beaten up.
Yeah,
you remember? I can't remember who the indie wrestler was, but he had that Cornette shirt as part of his merch. Like, Cornette would, the second he can say all the inflammatory things about anyone, but the second you say, he's a glass cannon of bullshit.
Exactly. He can dish it out all day long, and he can't fucking take it. You say one bad thing about Jim Cornette, and I'll kill you, motherfucker.
Well, say goodbye to the Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast.
Well, fuck him. There's 4 of us and 1 of him. He can suck my ass.
I don't have lawyers on retainer, Tom. I can't do this.
Listen, you got guns.
No! Don't say that. That's just more ammo for him to... Oh, no.
Listen, the likelihood of Jim Cornette listening to this rinky-dink show. I mean,
are we gonna need another Tom edit this week? Son of a bitch, Tom.
We might. I don't know.
I don't think we will.
I'm gonna be fine. If he ends the podcast, it'll just end the misery. Whatever.
No, you know what? You know what I'll do if Tom makes a slip like he did last time. I'm gonna leave it in, but I'm gonna cut in and after. I'm gonna say the views and expressions and comments made by Tiger Bomb Tom are not that of Beef the Legend, Alec Ransom, or Poot the Bard. Like I'll basically edit the thing I do at work anyway.
It can't be the view of Alec Ransom. He doesn't really exist.
That's true.
You can say that the views of Tiger Bomb Tom do not reflect those of the rest of the P3 podcast, but they probably do fall in line with Jim Cornette.
Motherfucker. Oh. We've heard Beef's take. My take, mine. Fuck him. Like, on a personal level, like, he's an asshat. Tom, again, would spit on the man if it wasn't assault. Ransom, what's your jam at this?
Oh, boy.
It's okay, dude.
So,
go ahead.
I'm going to be the dissenting opinion here. Maybe not dissenting, but I'm going to be the more lackadaisical. Let me take a beverage drink here. Now, look. Before anybody on or off the show gets around, he's in a wrinkle here. These are my opinions. And in the grand scheme of things, they should mean diddly squat to anybody. So let's just get that out of the way. And then also, before, the feminists, if there are any that listen to the show, which I can't imagine there would be.
Yeah.
I wouldn't think so.
Yeah.
Let's just all settle down for a minute, and we're going to get a little meta here. And I'm pretty sure that I've mentioned it before in one way or another, but I was raised by a single mother, by herself, one income, no help from my father, and never even met the man. So I have all the respect in the world for women. Okay, we're just going to preface this with that. So don't go jumping on the whole like, oh, Ransom is a misogynistic. He's misogynistic. I hate that word, misogynistic. Shut up.
Also, absolutely not.
Jim Cornette, like, people should know by now to take what this man says with the finest grain of salt that ever existed on any beach ever. I don't know why people would take anything this man has to say on his podcast seriously or to heart. Again, to each their own. But for me, I don't know. I'm the guy that it takes a great deal of something to get me offended. Jim Cornette can say all the racist things in the world, and I'm not going to get offended by it. He can say all the misogynistic things in the world. I'm not going to get offended by it. He can say all the things in the world about a middle-class, fat white guy. I'm not going to take offense to it. Like, I don't care. I don't care what Jim Cornette says, because nothing he says affects my life. And in all honesty, if you're looking at this, if you're looking at it logically, nothing about anything that he says affects anybody's life. It doesn't affect Becky Lynch's life, and it doesn't affect Seth Rollins' life. Yeah, Seth worked with him, but, like, are they buds? Do they hang out on the weekends? Do they have beers with each other? Are they, inviting each other to each other's houses? No. They were work acquaintances. Get over it. To say like, oh, she could, make $1 million and have a baby later, blah, blah, blah. All right, well, maybe she could. She chose differently. Oh, well, who cares? Like, yeah, he's a dirtbag, and he says dirtbag things. I'm not arguing that. I'm not disagreeing with that. Absolutely. But, for people in the wrestling industry to get all, undies in their ass crack about this, is like, is it really worth it? Like, who cares? Who cares what one man over here says? It could be Jim Cornette. It could be Paul Heyman. It could be my neighbor down the road. I don't give a shit. So, I don't know. Like, I'm not getting my undies in a bunch. It's Jim Cornette. You should know by now the man's a nutball. Everybody in the wrestling industry should really know that the man is a nutball.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alec Ransom, the true adult of the Pittsburgh Piledriver podcast.
No, I'm not saying that. No. I won't say that.
That is a wonderfully salient point. So obviously, I believe 110% that he's saying it to rile people up. And fucking good job. I got riled up. I'm 2 beers deep, so I get riled up easily. But yes, I got riled up. But Ransom makes a wonderful salient point.
No, it's okay. Like it goes back to the whole, like, to each their own. Like, some people, what his comments say, not reflect, but like they reverberate a little bit harsher with some people because maybe what he's saying hits a little close to home for someone. That's fine. I'm not saying that they're wrong or that they're not adult about it. Everybody has the right, and again, this goes back to the whole libertarian in me. Everybody has the right to be upset about what someone says. That's your right as a human being. But on the same token, everybody has the right to say whatever they want. Unless, they're inciting some sort of, harm on someone. That crosses the line. But everyone's entitled to their opinion, and everyone's entitled to be upset about it. Like I said, I have a very thick skin when it comes to things that random jabronis say about anyone, even me. Like, whatever. Like, you don't know me. Even if you do know me, do I care enough about you to be concerned about what you say about me? Probably not. If, you're going to say something, hurtful or bad about me, do I really care that much about you to give it any weight? No. But that's just me. Like, I have thick skin and I don't really care. It all boils down to, like, everybody has their own view, but I don't know. It's like Jim Cornette's Jim Cornette. He's a douchebag, and it's like, is it worth me getting riled up? No. Is it worth someone else getting riled up? Sure. Pardon me.
I would say on to that, the only thing, like I said, my biggest point with it, I'm kind of like halfway in between there with you, with your point and Beef, because, you know, he definitely is a scumbag.
Sure.
But it's more so the fact of, like, let's just, like, if he says something racial or something, it's like, well, it's his right to say that or whatever. It's like, well, let's not excuse, like, just shitbag behavior. Let's actually, like, try to be better human beings in general. I'm not saying we're all going to be sitting around the campfire singing Kumbaya and holding hands and making s'mores and whatnot, but, you know, just, like, honestly, like, I it's just kind of my own personal thing is, like, you know, what am I doing in my life to better myself or better people around me? And, you know, and I don't know how to say it without using the words like keeping someone in check, but keeping, like, assholes in check like that, like somebody like Cornette, like, you know, there's, no matter what, good or bad, what every decision you make, there's consequences. And I honestly, I hope if you act like an asshole and you say stupid shit like that, like, you know, if you make racial jokes and stuff, like if you make like a racial joke or something like how he did, well, the consequence was he got let go from NWA Power. So, you know, he had to realize that was a reality. And you know what? He honestly, he rightfully did get let go. Now,
the thing with his comment on NWA Power, I did listen to his podcast after the fact because I was willing to hear his side of things. And I was fully expecting him to yell and scream and say, the world's too fucking sensitive, all these bleeding heart snowflakes, motherfucker. I expected that, but you didn't get it. He's like, I've been saying that in the business, on TV, in recordings, whatever, for decades. He's like, and like, he's like, no one ever got offended up until now. Now, that doesn't excuse his comment on AEW, right, or not AEW, NWA Power. Yeah. Like, that doesn't excuse his comment, nor does that, you know, justify anything he said about Becky Lynch or his mentality. But the problem with Jim Cornette is that because his whole life, everything was okay, everything was okay, everything was okay, everything was okay. Now there's hard shift change. And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but people hate change, generally. Yeah. And especially people who are very stuck in their ways and believe they're right about everything. That's even worse. So, like, I you know, it has to be hard from a standpoint where jokes are okay and then all of a sudden they're not okay. But you can see how the world's changing, and you get to a certain point in your life where you're like, you know what, I am who I am, fuck you, I'm not changing. But there's certain things where you go, all right, maybe I need to shift my worldview. Old dog, new tricks and that.
Exactly. Like, just because something was okay, you know, how many ever years ago and stuff like that, does not mean that, you know, it's okay now. Like, okay, I know this is a big leap, but stick with me here. I'm going to take it to an extreme. At one point, slavery was allowed. Did it make it okay then? No, it really, technically, you know, really wasn't, but it was allowed. It definitely doesn't make it okay nowadays. So just because something was allowed at one point or something was okay at one point, you know, you gotta adapt and overcome. You gotta adapt with the times. Yeah, change can suck for some people, but guess what? That's part of being a human fucking being, is learn to adapt and overcome. Some people handle it better than others. Now, I you know what? And I'm a perfect example of that. I am a creature of habit, admittedly. And, you know, like I mentioned to you fellas before the show started, I was probably going to get a little salty and a little more riled up because it's this particular day, this week, this month has definitely been a big fucking shift from everything that what I've been used to in my life, and it's a big fucking change, and I have not been dealing with it well. So it sucks, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna go and act like a shitty human being and do shitty human being things just because I can't adapt to change. That's that it's just one of those things. Like you gotta get with the times, man. Like
the other part of this is that, like, when you are a celebrity, and I hear what Ransom's saying. He's probably going to rebut me pretty hard in this. But yes, everybody should have freedoms. I agree. But you also have, with great power comes great responsibility. There are people who listen to Jim Cornette and take his fucking word as gospel. They're not the smartest individuals, but there are people who do that. Because, as Poot had very professionally mentioned, he is a wealth of knowledge. The dude's been around, and the dude has a pretty good mind for the business.
Can't take it away from him.
Despite all of his shortcomings. Huh? Yeah, exactly.
You cannot take that away from him. Hey,
but he's got to realize that he has people that listen to him and are influenced by the things that he is saying. So even if he is just a fucking character, like you got to be careful, because we're in a lot of weird situations right now, because a lot of people look up to certain people and will like start projecting that person out of them. I'm speaking, of course, of our wonderful president, who like seems to have really deepened the divide with people. I believe that whenever you are when you attain a certain status, you need to be careful of what you say, what you do, and how you are influencing people, because you are influencing people, good or bad, and you need to be careful of the mark that you're going to leave on humanity.
There you go. Yep. So,
all right, can I comment on that real quick there, Beef?
Sure.
All right, I don't disagree with what you're saying. I don't. But I believe that that's a flaw in our culture as it is.
Agreed.
With so much importance being heaped upon you because you're a quote-unquote celebrity. Like, and again, this is me. This is my own personal thing. Like, when a celebrity dies, you see it all over Facebook. Oh, rest in peace, this actor. Oh, rest in peace, this musician. Oh, oh my goodness. Oh, I can't believe that. Oh, blah, blah. People die every day, and no one bats an eye at the random guy 5 houses down that died. But you lose your shit as soon as a celebrity dies. Nobody bats an eye at the guy, at 7-Eleven who's buying 14 bottles of water, who is going to drink that water and throw that water bottle away. But as soon as a celebrity takes a picture of them with a water bottle, everybody gets all over them. Oh, you shouldn't be doing that. That's so bad for the environment. Where's your reusable container for your water? Why do we as a society, and I know this is getting deep and kind of away from this, but it does kind of correlate. Like, we've put so much importance on the Jim Cornettes of the world or the Donald Trumps of the world. They're just a guy. They're just a person. Yet we heap so much importance on these people and hold them to such a high standard of like, you can't say this, you can't say that. Look at what they're doing to destroy people. Look at the divide they're causing. Look at the terrible things this person is saying. Yeah, that's just one dude. That's one dude saying something terrible. We elevate them to a point where it's like, they can't say that. People listen to them. Well, you know what? If people listen to them and are influenced by that, then, shame on those people for putting such importance on one person that they let that one person influence the way that they think. And also shame on you for being able to be influenced by one thing that one person says. No. Have a mind of your own. Fucking think for yourself, you idiot.
No, and that's fair.
Not you or anybody on this podcast. I'm using you as like,
the royal you.
Like yes. But yeah, like have a brain. You know what I mean? Like if Jim Cornette says something misogynistic or racist, have a brain to go, oh, well, Jim Cornette said that, but that's a shitty thing to say or a shitty opinion to have, so I'm not going to have that opinion.
That's fine.
Like, be a fucking adult.
No, and I understand that, but here's the problem, Ransom. You're operating under the assumption that every single person who listens to the words of, and I'm going to use, like you just used, our president, And not meaning to get super political here, we're trying to keep it in the realm of pro wrestling in this specific incident with Jim Cornette. But
right, but it's an example. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it's our president and Jim Cornette here. The difference is, yes, the average shithead's opinion, I agree. But the problem is you can't selectively choose when someone who's in a position of some sort of revere, like people revere them or respect, i.e. Jim Cornette being one of the elders, honestly, of the wrestling industry at this time, as a historian, as a booker, as a on-screen personality, as a mind of the business, or in the case of our president, he's the fucking president. It should be, if anything, those people... Like, how often did you hear back in the 1900s when people would say one day you could grow up to be the president? The president's opinion mattered. It matters because they're the leader of the quote unquote the leader of the free world. I'm not going down that rabbit hole, but it's that idea. As an elder statesman of the industry, the problem is that people out there are not everyone, Ransom, has the very clear and very concise and very knowledge and ironclad view of the world and what people say that you do. There are people out there that are either A, not as intelligent, B, are easily influenced but are highly intelligent, or C, waiting for someone to help them, express their opinions in a way and have basically a rallying point. And that's the problem. You're under the assumption, it sounds like, and I'm not accusing you, because honestly, I think we all, do a pretty good job of hanging around with people who are generally intelligent and thoughtful. But a lot of people out there are not that way, and they will be easily influenced. It's mob rule. It's what they said in the first Men in Black, what Agent K said. A person is smart, people are dumb, panicky animals. And it's true. Mob mentality is a big fucking deal. How many times have you been somewhere, like a party or whatever, and you're like, I'm only gonna have 1 or 2 beers, and you get swept up in the atmosphere? It's the same idea, except with these kind of comments, and it's generally held by society. That kind of shit and that mentality doesn't belong in this day and age. Sure, if everybody was able to just shut it out and say no, and say, all right, that guy, he's just a loudmouth, we're not going to pay attention to him, let him shout into the din for the rest of his life, and we won't pay attention. But that's the problem, is that there will always be people who do that, and people who will back him, and it will cause chaos because there will be conflict between the two. So yes, it matters what Jim Cornette says because of his position in the industry. Sure, people don't take him personally seriously and don't agree with his views, but he is a respected member of the wrestling world for his pedigree.
I want to say one other thing to kind of
I need a fucking beer after that rant. I'm sorry, Tom.
And close this off. No. To close this off and segue, it's quite all right. Whether you agree or disagree with Jim Cornette, because if there's somebody out there that agrees with him, that's your right to have. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I personally think it's a very shitty way of thinking, and am I gonna let in the grand scheme of things what Jim Cornette says really affect me on a day-to-day? No, but my initial gut reaction to this is he's a fucking piece of garbage human being. So who is stuck in a very old, outdated way of thinking that that I think anybody is just I can't see how somebody can think that way, but that's my mentality, and I try to, again, I try to think and do and act like, what if I'm doing something, how am I bettering myself and how am I bettering the people around me? That sort of mentality. But again, not taking away the fact that, like Poot said, he is, a wealth of wrestling knowledge. So on that vein, four of us that have a little bit of wrestling knowledge. I wonder how these picks are going to shake out. Beef, you've got the list of the card for coming up for double or nothing picks. So why don't you get that rolling with us and let's dive into these sons of bitches.
You son of a bitch, I'm in. All right. So
yes, thank you.
We will start with Poot the Bard, baby. Pre-show.
Yes.
Private Party versus best friends. Who you got?
Oh man. See, these are the kind of matches that I think are going to be the make or break for me, because to me this feels. You said Private Party?
Yes, sir.
I think right now, with how ingrained Orange Cassidy and the Best Friends are in the on-air product versus Private Party, no offense to them, I love Private Party. Gin and Juice is such a cool move. But I'm going to go with Best Friends on this one, because I feel like they can't afford the loss with the way things are going with them and Orange Cassidy and how that's all tying into other storylines. So I'm going to go Best Friends.
FYI, this is a number one contenders match. I think Best Friends are ranked number one. Private Party is ranked a little bit further down. But yes, this is a number one contenders match for the AEW tag team titles. So just keep that in mind. Are you still going with Best Friends?
I like how you left that out before until after I made my pick. You're like,
I just pulled up the wiki.
Well, going back on that info, you can change your pick if you want to.
Yeah,
no, to me that doesn't change anything, because I feel like Best Friends, like they've done the work, they put in the work, like even on regular AEW television, they've put in effort with them. Why would they just take away that spot? I mean, they're number one, but that wouldn't immediately jump, like in the standings. That wouldn't immediately jump. Oh no, it's number one contender match. No, I'm dumb.
Yeah.
Anyway,
whoever wins this match is the number one contender.
I feel like no, because the tag champs right now are Omega and
The Hangman.
The Hangman.
Still, wow,
dude. Come on. Like, I mean, I think it's going to be the Best Friends. Like, I mean, they'll have their run. They'll try and get it. I don't think they will get it unless they're riding on the coattails of Orange Cassidy's wacky popularity, and they'll give it to him just to put all of it over. But I think it's still going to be Best Friends, but I don't think they'll get the titles down the road. But that's another set of picks. So I'm still going Best Friends.
Ransom.
Best Friends.
Tiger Bomb.
Best Friends.
Moving on.
What's your pick?
What's your pick, dum dum?
Oh, I'm so sorry. I have it written down. I just you guys don't care what I'm picking. Best Friends.
Yeah, we do.
I agree.
Now I see the ploy. Now I see the ploy that Beef's trying to pull. He's the scribe.
I knew I should have come back with the fucking scribe work here.
I agree.
This is what happens when you fucking send the scribe work off to second rate.
Shenanigans.
Listen,
maybe.
Hey, hang on, I gotta take your ring.
Maybe if you do your homework and watch some fucking wrestling, you could be better informed to do a fucking. Yes, you're damn right. You're damn right. Go on, Ransom. What do you want?
Listen, shut the hell up. I'm going to talk at you for a second, you motherfucker. You other two idiots, you shut the hell up and you leave my tag team partner alone. He's legit, he's on top, and he's honest. And how dare you besmirch his good name. Go on, Beef.
I love you, buddy. All right, moving on. Dustin Rhodes versus Sean Spears. No fancy gimmicks here. Sean Spears called him out on AEW last night. Said he retired, and then when he did it was a pretty good bit. But bottom line, he's challenged, and it is official. Easy for me to say. Dustin Rhodes versus Sean Spears. Ransom, what do you got?
Sean Spears.
Tom.
Ditto. Sean.
I am also taking Sean Spears because it makes fucking no sense to put Goldust over at this age. Poot.
Sean Spears. They've been building this whole thing. He's been doing great heel work. There's no reason Dustin Rhodes should go over. If it does, honestly, Sean Spears is going to have a long, long time to earn like the good faith of wrestling fans. Yeah, Sean Spears.
All right. And so this is probably a match that's going to be scrubbed. I can almost guarantee it's going to be scrubbed, but we'll pick it just in case there's a miraculous recovery. Britt Baker, DMD, versus Chris Statlander. They've had a decent, I wouldn't call it a blood feud, but they've had a decent back and forth. Tom, who you got?
Statlander.
Interesting. I am picking Britt Baker because they're doing a hell of a lot with her in a heel role, and that's. I'm just going to take a moment here. If she is hurt, if she is hurt, I think that they can continue to work with her like heel, like dickhead persona, and still make gold with her for 6 to 8 weeks or however, I guess months, however long she's out with her ACL. So I think that it could be gold. Pootsky.
Well, the thing is with Britt Baker and this injury, that's fine. They could do the heel thing, but I could see, you said she's going to be out for a long, long time. How serious is this injury? Is she even going to be able to compete?
Let's keep in mind that, after Mr. Kennedy won Money in the Bank, a doctor told him he was going to be out for close to a year. So they ripped the Money in the Bank briefcase off of him. He had an MRI 4 days later, and he's like, no, man, you're going to miss 2 months maybe. So initial perceptions are not always they're often gaslighting techniques. So I'm not going to sit here and tell people that, oh man, she's going to be out for fucking 6 months. She could be. If it's an ACL tear, she could be out for the foreseeable future.
And we all know how for professional wrestlers that they go at this high of a level and stuff like that, how well tuned their bodies are, even when they do get injured. Many times a lot of them are able to come back sooner than the projected timeline that they were given. So and I mean it's. Yeah, I don't know.
Now, what do you think of the possibility of Baker pulling the thing of Statlander comes out there, and because Baker is actually really hurt, she comes up on the screen and says, listen, I'm not bothering with you, blah, 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 and sends someone else out.
Then we scrub this pick if that's what happens.
Right, yeah, exactly. So, this is strictly Dr. Britt Baker versus Chris Statlander.
All right, I'm good
with that. If that doesn't happen, then it's out the window.
I'm good with that. I feel like, you know what? This is probably going to be the pick that shoots me right in the foot. I'm going to go with Tom on this one. I'm going to go Statlander because an injury can turn a storyline, and I feel like AEW can gracefully, carefully bump that. You know what I mean? Put Statlander over, let Baker go away and heal up, come back even more of a badass heel, and take it out on Statlander. So I'm going to go Statlander.
And Britt is somebody who can eat pins all day long, and she's still going to be money at the end of the day, too.
That is true. Ransom, what you got?
I agree with Poot's rationale on that. I'm picking Statlander.
Damn.
I'm out on an island by myself here. All right. MJF Maxwell Jacob Friedman versus Jungle Boy. Gosh, it's anymore. It's real fucking tough to pick against MJF, and I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to pick MJF.
You got to tell us who's next. There you go.
Wait, so it's Jungle Boy versus MJF here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh man, I feel like having MJF lose to Jungle Boy is kind of weird because, man, this is a hard call. This is a tough call.
To be fair, Jim Ross, who is Jim Ross, who is the EVP, I think of talent relations or something, he is over the moon with Jungle Boy, and is constantly calling him Jungle Boy Jack Perry to get that name recognition. Hey, this is
I'm well aware.
Matthew Perry's, not Matthew Perry, Luke Perry's son.
Listen, it'd be better if he was Matthew Perry's son.
After this pick, henceforth, whoever is the scribe, not allowed to try and influence other people's picks.
I'm throwing information out here because I know that you guys probably don't watch as much AEW as I do.
Yeah,
so
I know, and that gives you
up
the
to
perfect example to throw out information that might be the truth, but spun a little bit to try and get your championship belt back for yourself, right, dum-dum?
No, man.
I appreciate what you're doing. I'm going to just tell you that. I appreciate what you're doing. I think you're a decent scribe all around.
Listen, you're only saying that because you're his tag team partner, and the moment that belt is off of his shoulder and back on Poots, you'll be back to shitting on Beef Fest 2020. So,
don't you dare presume to tell me what I may or may not, but definitely will do.
Yeah, Tom, listen, he's been.
I love that. Don't you dare presume to tell me what I may or may not, but definitely will do.
No, but
exactly.
I was gonna say before you threw that last little one in there, I was gonna go. Listen, he's been my advocate long enough. You're not gonna tell him what he's gonna not do. You know what? In this one, I think I'll take the leap of faith because I think MJF is in the same position that Britt Baker is. I think he could eat all the pins in the world and still be massively over. I'm gonna go with Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
Ransom.
MJF.
Ooh.
Tiger Bomb.
Just to be a house divided and to take that leap of faith, I'm gonna go with Poot on this. Jungle Boy Jack Perry.
Matthew Perry. Chenandler Bong.
Did you say Sinead Bong?
No, there's an episode of Friends where somebody called, or a TV guide came addressed to Chandler and Joey, but it came addressed as Chenandler Bong instead of Chandler Bing.
Nice.
And if Matthew Perry ever had a son who would get into the wrestling business, his wrestling name needs to be Chenandler Bong.
Chenandler Bong. I love it.
So, for the women's heavyweight title, we have Nyla Rose versus Hikaru Shida. No disqualification and no counter match. Ransom.
Who's the champ?
Nope, I'm sorry. I picked that one last. I apologize. I picked that one first. I apologize. Poop. This would be your pick there, buddy.
I'm sorry. You said who? It was Nyla Rose and...
Hikaru Shida.
I'm going to go with Hikaru Shida on this one. The caveat, the reason why I'm going with Shida is because it is a no DQ match. That, I think, facilitates the ability to take the belt off of Nyla Rose in a way that still makes Nyla Rose look strong.
Oh, Lord.
Ransom.
Nyla Rose.
Tiger Bomb.
I'm with you on this one too, Poot. Shida.
So I had initially picked Shida, but I think that this whole Britt Baker thing being out sends shockwaves through the women's division, in that I think that they had her pegged for a lengthy championship run by beating Shida. Now that she may not be available, I don't know that they'll need someone to take the belt off of Nyla Rose just yet. My gut still says Shida, but I would not be shocked if they go with Rose. So I'm going to pick Hikaru Shida as well. You know what? No, fuck that. I go back. My own rationale has changed my mind. I'm picking Nyla Rose.
Wow.
Well done.
This is going to be a fun one. This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
This is going to be a fun event to watch.
This is going to be a great event. And like, here's the thing. Like, last week I was sitting here going, oh, man, like, Double or Nothing is stacked. What a fucking card. And then NXT comes out, and we're like, hey, here's a fucking awesome takeover. Have at it. Like, and that's coming up in 2 weeks. So, once again, it's AEW and NXT trying to fucking trump each other. And, man, it's great television.
Segue here for, not segue, but in here for a second. Shut up. I have something to ask. Listen, is this still $59.99? Still full price on Bleacher Report?
It is. Well, I think it might be like 50. I think, but
okay.
Now I have not seen pricing yet. But as far as I've heard, as far as I've read, they have not made any concessions on that.
Good for them. Good for them believing in their product enough to be like, you know what? We're still charging the same price because we're going to give you still one hell of a product. I applaud AEW for that.
Agreed. I wholeheartedly agree. So the casino ladder match for a future AEW World Championship. They haven't said if it works like Money in the Bank or if it's just like a number one contender thing. We'll see. But it is a 9-man ladder match that starts with 2 men, and then at a set interval, another man marches out. At any time, the casino chip can be pulled from the rafters, or however they're going to fucking hang it from Daly's place, and can be won. So, it could be with the first 2, or it could be after all 9 enter. The participants are Darby Allin, Colt Cabana, boom boom, Orange Cassidy, Ray Phoenix, Scorpio Sky, Kip Sabian, Frankie Kazarian, Luchasaurus, and to be announced.
Oh,
that's some fuckery.
Ooh.
Man, to be announced is... All right, how about this?
Drew fucking Gulak.
No, that'd be fucking amazing. I'd be super happy if that happened.
His contract ran out, so he could go and he could work for fucking AEW next week.
Hang on, let me ask you a question again.
No.
I asked this before when we talked about the releases, but I can't remember. Anybody that was swept up in those WWE releasings, are they under the 90-day no-compete?
90-day no-compete.
They can't be in this.
No.
But if their contract has expired and they just walked away, a la Drew Gulak, they have every option in the world to do that.
That's not true. They still have a 90-day.
That's not true. Moxley let his contract expire, and he showed up in AEW next month.
Yeah, it was.
And New Japan.
Let me ask you this.
Hold on. Go ahead, Tom.
Did any of the ones that got released in that mass exodus that we heard about with the big rundown of the likes of Rusev and everybody else, did any of their contracts expire, or were they all just released?
They were released.
You know what? I do believe.
I'm asking you.
I could be fucking wrong on this, but I do believe that Rusev's contract expired.
No, he was released
because he was. They were negotiating a new contract. That's why he was supposed to be at Blood Money, and they were negotiating a new contract, but negotiations fell through. So I don't know if he was at the end of his contract and they were negotiating. I don't know if he was in the middle of their contract and he was negotiating. I don't know. Yes, he came through with all those, the string of releases, but I can't say for sure that he was released from his contract.
I'm gonna shut this down because the embargo on new bookings for 3 months covers Rusev, Kurt Angle, Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, Heath Slater, No Way Jose, Kurt Hawkins, Zack Ryder, Rowan, Sarah Logan, Leo Rush, Drake Maverick, EC3, Eric Young, Aiden English, Primo and Epico Cologne, Mike Kanellis, and Maria Kanellis. While the 30-day clause covers Deonna Purrazzo, Tainara Conti, MJ Jenkins, Tino Sabatelli, and Alexander Jasic. So
right,
Rusev
that's what they reported. That's what the dirt sheets are reporting.
No,
WWE has not officially reported that. The only time I will trust anything is, and God help me, is when we're talking fucking numbers and contracts is from WWE.
All right,
Meltzer has great guys, but I'm telling you that
All right.
Let's get the picks in. Let's get the picks in, and then we'll have that be a prop bet.
Yeah. So Ransom. Here are the people again. Darby Allin, Colt Cabana, Orange Cassidy, Ray Phoenix, Scorpio Sky, Superbad, Kip Sabian, Frankie Kazarian, Luchasaurus, and TBA. Who you got?
Really, the only person I could see winning that, and them going like, all right, let's put you in a program for the NXT and a title, would be Darby Allin. But the mystery opponent really has me intrigued.
But okay, can I pose this then? Can I pose this? We make our picks.
Anything you want to, buddy.
We make our picks from the people who are announced. Then we have a prop bet who the mystery opponents or mystery person is going to be. And if they win, it's a no contest on this pick.
I have no idea who to pick for the mystery opponent, so I will say no to that just because I have no idea who on earth would come in.
Just thought I'd throw it out as an idea.
But no, I mean it's up to the group. If everybody else wants to do it,
I agree, Ransom. I think if you strongly believe that TBA could be a big enough name to win a potential #1 contendership, I mean, it could be fucking CM Punk for all we know.
Or it could just be somebody. It could be somebody they have working a double booking that night. It could be an MJF or a Lance Archer.
Beef also.
Billy Gunn Jr. could be
Billy Gunn.
Pac. Could be Pac. Could be Billy
Bastard
Gunn.
Pac.
Oh, Pac would be really
Pete.
good.
You know.
All right, so here's my pick. It's fucking off topic. TBA.
You're picking TBA. All right.
I am. I'm picking TBA because I don't
appreciate
know
your balls
shit.
on that. Tom, what do you think?
Darby Allin.
My man, agreed. Yeah, I think it's going to be Darby.
Quick question. This may lead into a pick that's coming down the line. Is the finals for the Dynamite TV title, whatever it's going to be, in this show?
It is, and it's coming. That pick is coming up next.
Okay.
But first we have to get Poot the Bard's thoughts on the Casino Ladder match. What do you think, Poot?
Honestly, the two that are in my head are Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy.
Is Darby Allin in your head because he looks like a zombie? Hey.
I am going to murder everything in the universe thanks to that comment.
I'm very happy that I wasn't the only one thinking that. I didn't say it, but I was thinking it for sure.
I'm here to say the things that are on your mind.
See, the thing.
Well done, Tom. Well done.
Ransom, you weren't going to say it because you like highbrow comedy. I'm
I'll
going to
take whatever laughs I can get, whether it's from you or myself today. I need it.
Suck. Oh, okay, that's fair. All right.
Me.
I'm gonna. Oh, you know what? Just to keep things interesting, I'm gonna go TBA as well.
You got TBA?
Yeah, I'll go TBA as well. Ransom, you and I on this one.
Hell yeah, Poot.
I really want to say Darby. My gut says Darby Allin, but you know what? I'm gonna take a leap of fucking faith.
The next pick is for the TNT title.
Hold on.
I picked Darby.
Thank you.
I'm sorry,
Yeah, he announced that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. So TNT title, the finals: Cody with Arn Anderson versus Archer with Jake the Snake. Tom, you're up, sir.
Oh fuck! This is gonna be a real tough one for me to pick. I'm gonna go with. I'll go with Archer.
I also am of the belief that they booked Lance Archer like a monster. I think that Cody's going to put him to task, but at the end of the day, it would not shock me to see some kerfuffle. I don't know what the fuck that word was. With Arn Anderson and Jake the Snake, like get Cody's attention.
I caught that ransom.
Only, I know, right?
Kofefe.
Kofefe. Only to distract Cody and have Archer take advantage of him. But yeah, I believe the right choice is Archer. What do you think, Poot?
Oh, it's definitely Archer. It makes no offense to Cody, but Cody does not need that belt to be legitimized at all. Plus, really, the money's in the hunt. I think they could keep going with this Lance Archer Cody thing for as long as they want. And I think the belt would make it more interesting. And just imagine the promos that Jake the Snake is going to cut with Lance Archer holding that fucking belt. I'm all in.
Oh, my.
Ransom, what do you think? Cody versus Archer?
Archer.
All right. Archer across the board there.
Yeah,
all right.
Archer.
What are they fucking calling it? The Stadium Stampede match. So, very little is known about this, except for that it's going to be no disqualification, false count anywhere, through TIAA Bank Arena with a ring set up at the 50-yard line. Jim Ross said rings, so maybe we'll get 2 rings like War Games. Who fucking knows? Or maybe he's just being fucking JR. It is Matt Hardy with the Elite, so we're talking Matt Hardy, Kenny Omega, Adam Page, Hangman Adam Page, Matt Jackson, and Nick Jackson versus the Inner Circle. Chris Jericho, Jake Hager, Sammy Guevara, Santana and Ortiz, I am up to pick on this one, and I am picking the Elite. The Elite.
I'm gonna keep it going. The Elite. The Elite.
It's a ransom party.
Elite.
Tiger Bomb.
Elite.
It is an elite party. I love it.
It absolutely is. Like the inner circle needs their comeuppance.
Well, the fact that the Inner Circle went over on Omega and Matt Hardy a couple weeks ago in that like crazy, like really awesome like backstage match, I think was kind of a hey, we're getting one over on you guys. Interesting though to report, AEW went hard this last, and I was going to mention this earlier, went hard. Yeah, exactly, but not yet. But they did go hard this last week with Britt getting hurt. And Matt Jackson injured his ribs on the jump, on their like initial jump from the stadium or from the stands onto the Elite. And who else got hurt? Somebody else took a not significant injury, but like potentially like. So you gotta contain that shit the week of a week of a pay-per-view, especially whenever it's an actual pay-per-view. So, the main event for the AEW World Championship match, singles match, no gimmicks. Jon Moxley, who is your champion, versus Brody Lee. Poot.
This is the one that I'm really, really like, fuck. You know what I mean? Because how do you have Brody Lee lose and remain really strong? You know what I mean? Like it because the character, I'm sorry, maybe it's connecting with a lot of people, but it's just not really connecting with me. I find it as just, oh, they're having a piss take on Vince McMahon. Okay. It's just not gelling. But that doesn't mean that they're not going to push it. And honestly, off the top of my head, because I've been buried in Guitar World, I don't have the thanks, Beef. I don't have the words to like
clearly
really convey that, which is odd for wow. I can just see him sitting there with his bird-peaked eyebrows and rosy cheeks and pube-looking beard, just sitting there smirking, like a merkin.
Don't forget his cotton candy-looking hair too.
Yeah, motherfucker.
Good Lord, it's rough tonight.
This is hard to say because, like, I'm trying to think how they booked Brody Lee in matches. I mean, like, they've obviously booked him strong. It doesn't make sense for him to lose. But Moxley's how long's Moxley had the belt, Beef?
He won the belt at Revolution, which was at the end of February on Lethal Leap Year.
I feel like they don't want to yo-yo the belt, but it like this is not no DQ.
Nope, no gimmicks, just a straight up singles match.
I'm thinking. Listen, I'm thinking this ends in a schmoz. I think it ends in a schmoz. So
who's your pick?
Again, we are talking about the winner of the match, not who walks out with the title. Who? All right,
I'm gonna go.
Hear me?
I'm going.
Okay.
I'm really torn here because I'm gonna go with Moxley because I think he's gonna be the winner by DQ. I'm going with Moxley.
Ransom.
I think they'll put on a straight-on finish. I don't think that AEW wants to hot potato the title like WWE, and AEW seems like a company to me that doesn't want to just throw the belt on somebody because they're new and noteworthy, having come from WWE. Now, I know Chris Jericho was the first to win the belt, but what I'm saying is, like, anytime somebody new comes in and they're, a big deal, I feel like AEW is a smart enough company to go, you know what, they're a big deal, they're in the main event picture, but we're not going to just put the belt on them because everyone's like, oh, Buddy Lee came over from WWE, he's finally free, he's finally an AEW belt. I don't think that's going to happen. So I think Jon Moxley's going to win.
Tiger Bomb.
I agree with Ransom. Going with Moxley.
Making it a clean sweep. I think that it's going to be Moxley. I think it's going to be clean. There are your picks, folks, for AEW Double or Nothing. The consensus here is that we agree on everything but MJF versus Jungle Boy, which we are a split house, and Nyla Rose versus Hikaru Shida, which we are a split house. We're kind of all over with the... actually, we're split house on the ladder match as well. And then obviously I went out on a limb and picked Britt Baker as long as the match still goes down. So lots of movement possible here. So keep stay tuned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that about does all the wrestling talk that we got. So if you fellas don't mind, before we shift gears and change recordings into a Breaking Kayfabe, I'd like to thank the sponsors, and then who's closing it out?
I'll close it out. You go ahead and thank the sponsors. I feel bad we didn't thank the sponsors beforehand.
Yeah, 2 weeks in a row, motherfucker.
Yeah, we're really in it. We're focused.
Yeah.
What have they done?
I mean, I hear that guy, Casual Gaming Dad, does some things.
I hear he's kind of a motherfucker.
I haven't seen any money from him.
I don't know. Anyways, that's neither here nor there.
How dare you?
That's neither here nor there. I'm gonna try not to let my bias show through, and I'm gonna remain impartial and say we'd like to thank our sponsors. First of all, we'd like to thank Mr. Sean Tischler for bringing IWC up to Clearfield and for getting our name out there. Hopefully, sooner rather than later, we'll hear some news and maybe get back to some good old independent wrestling here in southwestern PA. Maybe later this year, but obviously everything is to be determined on the state of things. But make sure you go check out Sean Tischler's IWC Clearfield Facebook page and support him in any way you can, and any of the guys and gals in IWC. Go get some of their merch and stuff like that. Some really, really great independent wrestlers there that within the next couple of years you're going to definitely be seeing some things from, and we've already seen some things from wrestlers that have come through through the IWC doors. So make sure to keep an eye on all things IWC. And we'd also like to thank Mr. Casual Gaming Dad over there on the Facebook and on the YouTube and over on his Twitch channel for constantly promoting the P3 podcast and the P3 t-shirts that are in his section of the shop over at Gould Gaming. So thank you to them as well for providing that outlet. Make sure you go check out the P3 shirts in the Gould Gaming shop. Go get one, support the P3 podcast, and definitely go support Casual Gaming Dad doing all the good things that he can do over there on his channel. Pooh, take us home, brother.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to the P3 podcast. And if you are going to be watching Double or Nothing this weekend, enjoy it, because it's going to be something special, because AEW has just been delivering very much. And as Beef said, there's going to be a takeover this weekend, correct?
Beef muted himself.
Oh, he's gone.
I think that's in a couple of weeks.
Is that in a couple of weeks? Okay, well, I'm off the thing. Yeah, you can tell how much I know. Thank you guys seriously for checking us out. Make sure you subscribe here on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube. If you're not and you're listening to us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or over on Anchor.fm or any other place where you can find your podcast, make sure to go on over to your YouTube page and give us a subscribe. Make sure also we didn't have a trivia here or a Stump the Chumps this week, but you can email us at pittsburghpiledriverpodcast@gmail.com. Send in questions. We'd love you to try and stump us chumps over here. Just make sure to put some spaces between your question and your answer so it's not spoiled. For Beef the Legend, he usually handles that. Also, if you are just hungry for some more wrestling wonderfulness in podcast form, do yourself a favor. Couple of fellows over on Facebook, go find their page. It's Dos Hermanos Lucha. Jimmy and Corey, they're two great guys, and I'm going to make sure to put a link in the description down below of their new podcast. It's called The Mask Cast, and it's with both of them. And they have an absolutely amazing collection of ring-worn gear from Lucha Libre from all over the world, literally. They have some incredible things, full ring-worn outfits, many masks, and they know so much about the Lucha community. You can check them out on Spotify and also on iTunes. They're part of the Lucha Central network as well of podcasts, so make sure to give them some love and tell them the P3 podcast sent you. For Mr. Alec Ransom, Beef the Legend, Tiger Bomb Tom, and Poot the Bard, baby, have a good evening.